on day 2 of week 2, class. And so for this lesson, we're going to be looking at analyzing the meaning of metaphors and then figuring out what those metaphors are talking about based on our text. Now, remember, we've learned about a type of figurative language called a simile. And what a simile is first it's misspelled. But what a simile is it's when we compare something using like or as. He is like a lion that he is ferocious. She is as smart as Albert Einstein. And so we use that comparison when we describe a person or a thing. In this one, we're going to learn one called a metaphor. And we're going to see how we compare things without using the word like or as. So we're going to head on down to paragraph 10. That's where we're going to start our focus on. So let me zoom on in. And I'm going to read aloud this last sentence right here. And I want you to listen to it because there's going to be a comparison between two things. And after the manner of such eccentric craft, the canvas shall proceed to turn turtle. So, I don't say the word like or as for the comparison, but it is comparing two things. So I'm going to have to use my brain to figure out what it is. And what I think it's talking about is this right here. This canvas shell and a turtle, which we already underlined when we discussed it through. So the canvas shall proceed to turn turtle. Now, the words turtle and shell are clues that the author is comparing the canoe to a turtle. How would a canoe look like a turtle? Well, maybe at the bottom of the boat, the shell is uppermost. It would look like a turtle. By comparing the canoe to a turtle, the metaphor helps me visualize what has happened to the canoe. It overturned. So we see right here, and then in our next picture, on the next page, we see that, it turned upside down. So that's like the shell of the turtle that we see. So notice they didn't say the canoe was like a turtle. It made that statement that says it proceeds to turn turtle. So let's look at another paragraph. Let's head to number 8. And number 8, there's also going to be a metaphor. So I want you to see if you can figure out what are the two things that are being compared. But to all except these two, he was calmly unapproachable. So remember, we're talking about the dog right now, Lad. From his earliest days, he'd never forgotten he was an aristocrat among inferiors. And calmly aloof, he moved among his subjects. So as to the two things that are being compared. Well, we're comparing Lad to an aristocrat. Now, if we don't know what an aristocrat is, they give us some other hints. And let me highlight he, so we know those are two things. Our hint is this word inferior and subjects. So if we've seen many middle-aged movies, we know that refers to those people as subjects, the king's subjects. So we might be thinking something about along the lines of a subject and an aristocrat. And so that king is a good example. Aristocrat isn't like a king, but he's like a nobleman, or he's someone very high up, more important than what they used to consider those peasants or the farm workers. So Lad is basically like this prince, this well-to-do person in his house. Now, he doesn't care about those other people that come to visit, the other dogs, the other animals that might be living there. It's saying that he is better than all of them. Pretty nice attitude for a dog, isn't it? Now, remember, Lad is being compared to aristocrat, and the subject is everyone else that he comes into contact, except the master and the mistress, because those might be like his king and queen if he is an aristocrat. Now, for figurative language, we know similes and metaphors. So I want you to think, how does the metaphor in page 8 help you visualize Lad? How does it give you insight into his character? Well, it lets you know that he thinks of himself as the boss. He thinks that he's all that. He thinks that he's in charge. Now, how does the paragraph or the metaphor in paragraph 10 help us visualize the canoe? Well, it lets us know that it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's upside down. And as we can probably tell from the picture, just our own thoughts, we know a canoe can't float if it's upside down. So remember, when you're doing your text analysis, see if you can figure out what's being compared as you read, because it's not always going to be straightforward like those similes. So you may have to figure out what's being talked about.